Failed to get a room in student housing? Are you desperately trying to find a room now? Or do you need some tips and tricks on how to secure a room in the Netherlands? Then this video is for you. Hello there! In my previous video, I have broken down the types of housing you can get in the Netherlands and shared a bit of my personal experience. In this video, I'm gonna share some tips and tricks on how to secure yourself a room in Rotterdam, but this also applies to the Netherlands as an international student/expat. To start with, let me share a table of contents with you so that it's easier for you guys to manage this video and watch specific parts if needed. Okay, so is it worth to buy a paid subscription on housing platforms such as Housing Anywhere, Room Plaza, and Kamernet? Let's look at both perspectives. From one point of view, it is definitely worth buying the subscription because many room hunters actually find their housing options on exactly those platforms because those platforms offer you a great variety of housing options and they're also very reliable because I highly doubt that any scammers would want to pay subscriptions to scam you later on. Personally, I have found a lot of options, specifically from Kamernet, and I reached out to many landlords and had viewings with them. So it was a great variety of options for me as well because I paid the subscription. On the contrary, because those platforms are so great and reliable, they are highly competitive. So people get their rooms very quickly. As well as that, even if you manage to reach out to a landlord, let's say on Kamernet, there are still about 100 other people who are interested in the same room. So even if later on you have a viewing, your chances of getting the room are not exactly 100%. The average rent price on those platforms is quite expensive. I would say specifically for Room Plaza, where the average reaches about 650 euros per month. With Housing Anywhere, you have a lot of different options, so it's not as expensive. And with Kamernet, it actually, I would say it's the platform that offers you the cheapest options. However, again, it's very extremely competitive. Personally, while I have found a lot of options via those paid platforms, I secured my rooms in my first year and my second year both on Facebook. So by buying those subscriptions, I wasted my money. However, my advice would be it's better to pay a small subscription fee now and secure your chances of getting a room than later be panicking and spending your money elsewhere on like hotels or hostels or what happened to me last year. So now let's get into hidden housing gems. All of them apply to Rotterdam, but if you're interested in another city of the Netherlands, be sure to check on their website whether they offer a housing in your city as well. So let me list you the online platforms, the websites that I wish I found earlier because they offer amazing housing options. Marktplaats, Pension Barendrecht, I'm probably pronouncing it wrongly, sorry for that. Just Say Apartments, Rentola, Nia, and Pararios. None of these platforms require you to pay a subscription to actually reach out to landlords or the agents, and that's why those are great platforms for you. However, the negative side of those platforms is that sometimes the landlords, the agents are quite unresponsive. So, you might get ghosted and not get a response at all. They also get booked very quickly. So make sure to start researching, start looking for your housing earlier in time. This section of the video will focus exactly on finding housing on Facebook. So here are the several tips. First of all, follow as many Facebook groups as you possibly can. You can find them on your university's website. They usually offer some of Facebook groups. Or you can also use the Facebook search bar and just type in keywords such as student rooms Rotterdam or something similar. Second advice is to check the marketplace regularly. On Facebook, there is a separate section for marketplaces. People around you are selling, having a lot of different offers, and make sure to check your marketplace regularly to see if you can find housing options there. The third advice is to beware of scams. Scammers are thriving on Facebook because it's a free place to scam people. And how can you actually identify a scammer from a legit apartment? Well, usually the scammers, they can never have a viewing with you. be it in person or online. Usually they use reasoning such as, oh, I'm sorry, I am disabled, I cannot hear or I cannot speak, so let me just send you videos of the apartment and you tell me if you like it or not. Another very famous reason is that, oh, I have relocated for work in London, so I took my keys with me, but if you pay this deposit, I will make sure to send you the keys and so that you can enter. That is wrong. If the apartment is too good to be true, you know, it's an amazing design, it's an amazing location, an amazing price, then it's most likely a scam. So be aware of scams. So the positive sides of finding yourself a room on Facebook is that it's absolutely free. You can easily reach out to landlords and speak to them directly via the messenger. And there are also lots and lots of options you can not really choose from, because you still need to manage to secure yourself a room. But yeah, there are actually a lot of options that you can try to secure. And that is also the negative side of Facebook, because it's extremely competitive again. Even if you manage to reach out to a landlord, you still have to get chosen, you know? So the landlords or sometimes flatmates also publish some openings for rooms. They get to choose who they want to live with them or in their houses. And so you still have to get chosen among all other people who are also interested in the same room. Now let's talk through the tricks for increasing your chances to actually secure or get yourself a room in the Netherlands. First, prepare a nice, thoroughly written private message about yourself. This is usually what is asked from you from your future landlords, because many of them want to know who will be living in their apartment for the next whatever period of time. So first of all, be friendly, introduce yourself, state the reason why you are about to live in the Netherlands, and explain for how long you want to stay in their apartment and whether you have any habits such as smoking or whether you have any pets. So make sure to explain that. There's a very nice advice. Say that you're clean and pay rent on time. However, if you're actually not, please do not lie, because it might be problematic in the future. Because just imagine if your roommates are very clean and you are not, it might be very messy living together. What was that? Indicate your hobbies, what you like to do, what are your passions, what do you do in your free time, whether you are more of an extrovert or introvert, whether you prefer to go out or stay in, would you like to cook with your roommates, to hang out with them, or do you prefer to have more of your private time? As well as that, indicate where you're from, what languages you speak, because this could be helpful for you to also bond with your potential flatmates or even your or even your landlord. This was the case for me, because during my first year I did not say where I was from, but then during my second year I said that I was from Kyrgyzstan, so that I speak those languages. And then actually I've managed to find a few landlords who were from neighboring countries, and they were extremely willing to give me the housing, the rooms, just because we were from neighboring countries and we were basically homies, you know? So that was a great increase of my chances, just because I stated where I was from. If you would like to see an example of a private message that was successful for me this year specifically, you can pause the video and here it is. Second advice is to socialize. Get into as many clubs, groups, associations as you can. Socialize with your fellow classmates or people from your university in general, because this could be your potential future source of a housing, as this increases your chances of getting to know people who might also know about potential housing options. So for example, an acquaintance of mine joined this football team with mostly Dutchies, and those people later on helped her to find a housing because they were from the Netherlands, and so they knew a lot of options for housing for her. So this allowed her to secure a room in the Netherlands. Thirdly, be online 24/7. As much as it might be overwhelming, I get it, it still brings you a lot of chances of securing a room. When landlords reply to your messages, try to respond even quicker, just as soon as you can. And if you check your Facebook or online platforms as often as you can, this also increases your chances of replying to new openings quicker than anyone else. This eventually increases your chances of securing a room in the Netherlands. Fourth, search for unfurnished options or entire apartments. In case you are not being successful with finding just a furnished room, try to search for an apartment or an unfurnished room. For example, with unfurnished rooms, if you manage to secure an unfurnished room, you can find furniture for quite cheap in the Netherlands because of the second-hand market. People like to give their furniture for free because it's more expensive to throw it away than actually sell or give it away. So the only thing you would need to do is to pick up the furniture and bring it to your place, which you can also do with your friends or get a transportation company. With renting an entire apartment, for example, there are quite a lot of options or a lot of landlords who like to rent out the entire apartment and not just separately rooms. So with that, for example, let's say you found an option that costs 1,700 euros, right? You divide this, let's say, by the amount of bedrooms that is offered, and then if the price for one person is within your budget, proceed with reaching out to the landlord. If you manage to secure the apartment, you can say to the landlord that you are willing to rent the entire apartment with a group of students or with a group of other people. So once you have secured the apartment, you can actually start searching for your roommates. It could be either your friends, it could be your fellow classmates, it could be people from the university, but if you don't really know anyone, you can always make a social media post on Facebook or on Instagram, or write a WhatsApp message to your groups on WhatsApp, you know? So a lot of options would be available for you in case you just find an entire apartment and find later roommates. A small advice on finding yourself roommates. So when you make a post or write a message, indicate what kind of person you are and how you want your roommates to be. You can ensure this way that your roommates and you are a great match, which ensures you a comfortable stay for the rest of the period that you're staying in that apartment together. Fifth, lower your standards. You probably wanted to live in the center of the city or right next to your university with your peers who have similar interests. Be more flexible with that and consider living with older people, for example, someone who is finishing their masters or already working. Maybe live with people of different gender or in an apartment that is further away from your university. Be more flexible with that, and even in case you don't like it so much, it's always easier to first find yourself somewhere to live, and then once you're already in the Netherlands, it's easier for you to find another option by going to physical viewings and then just move to a place that is better fit for you. Sixth, find yourself other roommates before searching for an apartment. This way you can find people who have similar interests to you, and this way you can all together search for an apartment and rooms and notify each other about possible options that you have found separately. 7. Temporarily live in subrent places. Subrent or sublease means that people offer their rooms temporarily. Usually students who go on exchanges like to have their rooms occupied by someone else so that the rent could be paid for them, you know, instead of them living somewhere and their room is just empty for all that amount of time. That could be a great option for someone who doesn't need a registration or needs a place to live temporarily, because keep in mind that most likely usually those options do not have a registration, as the student who lives for exchange is already registered in that address. On that note, I believe I shared everything I know about housing at this point. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. It's preferable that you contact me on Instagram or Facebook. You can see my social media here. Remember that once you have found a room, you can help others to do so as well, in any way you can. By helping others, you make the world a better place and appear like a nice person whom people want to thank later. I want to thank you for watching this video, and I'm wishing you a lot of luck in your search. You've got this, remember, and I'll see you around.